Chosen one, there is a reason you have felt restless in a place you once prayed to enter. Nothing may look dramatically wrong from the outside. The room is still standing, the routine still works. People still expect the same version of you every morning. But something inside you has already begun packing. Your spirit has stopped decorating a season God has completed. Reckless movement is not obedience, but endless delay is not wisdom either, especially when fear keeps wearing the clothes of patience. There is a difference between waiting for God and hiding inside what feels familiar. There is a difference between loyalty and fear, pretending to be loyalty. There is also a difference between peace and the numbness that comes after you have ignored the same truth for too long. You may already feel that difference in your body. Think about the place where you feel most stuck. It may be a role, a relationship, a city, a habit, or a version of yourself. When you imagine remaining there for another year, what happens inside you? Does your breathing soften, or does something in your chest quietly begin to close? Do not force an answer. Just notice what is there. Your body is not the only source of truth, but it often reveals tension your mind has learned to explain away. You have asked for another sign. You have asked for another confirmation. You have asked for the entire road to become visible before you take one step. But what if the next confirmation is not more information? What if it is the clarity to act on what you have already received? God is not condemning you for being afraid. He is calling you out of the agreement that says fear must disappear before you can obey. Sometimes courage looks like sending one email, telling one truth, or making one responsible plan. The bags in this message are not only physical. They contain identities, obligations, memories, excuses, and promises made while you were trying to survive. Some of those things belong in the next season. Some must be completed with honor, and some were never yours to carry in the first place. Before this message ends, you will understand why leaving feels so difficult. You will see how familiarity can become a false form of safety. You will learn how to test your next step without making a destructive decision. And you will discover why insight can remain trapped as insight when the mind receiving it is divided. There is one thing you must not pack. The thing you must leave behind is more hidden than that, because it has been speaking in your voice and calling itself protection. We will name it before this journey is complete. For now, place one hand over your heart. Breathe slowly. Let your shoulders fall. Then say this with honesty, not pressure. I am willing to see clearly. You do not need to know the final destination today. You only need enough truth to stop defending the place that keeps draining your life. The first breakthrough is not about where you are going. It is about recognizing when staying has stopped being faith. Because before we speak about the door ahead, we must expose the agreement behind you. The agreement that says a good person always stays. The agreement that says leaving means failure. The agreement that has trained you to call the cage loyalty. Chosen one. The first chain is not always hatred. Sometimes it is loyalty without truth. You tell yourself that good people stay, good people endure, good people keep giving until everyone else is comfortable. So when your spirit begins moving forward, guilt immediately pulls you back. You may recognize the pattern. You imagine leaving, and your mind shows you every person who might be disappointed. You consider a new direction, and suddenly you remember every promise you made in a season when you were smaller. You feel one moment of freedom, then spend the next hour explaining why you do not deserve it. This does not mean you lack faith. It does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you need another year of preparation. It may mean you have confused devotion with self-abandonment, and that confusion has been rewarded for so long that it now feels holy. This is the loyalty trap. It begins when love becomes measured by how much pain you can absorb. It deepens when your value depends on being the one who never leaves. and it becomes a cage when every step toward health feels like betrayal, even when staying requires you to betray yourself. Some of you learned this early. You became the peacemaker and the responsible one. That role gave you belonging, but it also taught you that love must be earned through exhaustion. So now, when God leads you toward expansion, part of you hears danger, not because the path is wrong, because the path may require you to stop performing the role that once kept you accepted. The future is not only asking you to change locations, it is asking you to release an identity. Abraham was called to leave what was familiar without receiving the entire map. He was given direction before detail. That story does not mean every desire to leave is divine instruction. It reveals a pattern. Sometimes guidance gives enough light for movement, while certainty arrives later on the road. Wisdom still matters. Planning still matters. Safety still matters. Yet none of those things require you to remain emotionally imprisoned while you gather the information you need. Ask yourself one question. Am I staying because love freely chooses to stay, or because fear cannot tolerate being misunderstood? The answer may make you uncomfortable. Let it. Discomfort is not condemnation. It is information. You can appreciate what a season gave you without granting that season permanent ownership of your life. Your past was not wasted. The place may have trained you, protected you, or revealed wounds that needed attention. But purpose does not equal permanence. Many chosen ones lose years by asking an old blessing to become a future it was never designed to hold. They confuse gratitude with obligation, then call their exhaustion a test from God. Write these words somewhere private. I release false loyalty. I honor what was. I do not owe my future to what has finished. Then ask a second question. What would change if I no longer needed everyone to agree that I am allowed to grow? Do not answer with a dramatic decision. Answer with one responsible action. Gather the document. Make the call. Review the budget. Tell the truth to one trusted person. Movement becomes safer when it becomes specific. The cage weakens when it is named. But naming it is only the beginning, because even after your mind understands the trap, your body may still pull you back toward what is familiar. That is where the next layer begins. Familiarity has a power most people mistake for peace. Chosen one. Understanding the loyalty trap does not always make leaving easy. Your mind may agree while your body resists. At night, you feel ready. By morning, the old doubts return. One memory softens your resolve. One familiar voice calls, and suddenly the cage feels safer than the open door. This does not prove you heard wrong. It does not prove the old place is right. It may simply reveal how deeply your system has connected familiarity with safety. The body often prefers what it can predict, even when what it can predict is pain. This is the familiarity covenant. It forms when repeated experience teaches you that survival depends on staying close to what you know. The pattern can exist in a relationship, a job, a family role, or a way of thinking. It says, "Better the pain I understand than the freedom I cannot control." That sentence governs more decisions than you realize. It is why people return to what drains them, and why peace can feel empty after years of chaos. You may have mistaken that pull for a spiritual warning. Sometimes it is a warning, sometimes it is wisdom, but sometimes it is only the discomfort of becoming unfamiliar to yourself. So you need discernment, not panic, not fantasy, not blind movement. Ask what evidence is present. Ask whether the danger is real and specific. Ask whether the fear grows from facts or from the loss of a role that once gave you identity. Here is a simple test. First, name the actual risk. Do not use words like everything or nothing. Be precise. Second, name the part that is merely new. Third, identify one step that is safe, small, and reversible. Clarity grows when fear is forced to become specific. Maybe the safe step is not leaving today. Maybe it is gathering information, speaking with a counselor, updating your resume, or asking one honest question. Now bring the old place to mind. Just notice your body, notice your jaw, notice your chest, notice your stomach. Notice whether your breathing becomes shallow or whether your shoulders rise. Then imagine one small step toward change, not the final departure, only the first responsible movement. Notice what happens. Your body can carry memory after your spirit recognizes completion. Returning does not mean you cannot move forward. It may mean you tried to create change with motivation, but without structure. The past can be reinterpreted now. You were trying to find safety with the tools you had, but the tools that helped you survive cannot always help you expand. You can learn a new safety through planning, boundaries, honest support, and the knowledge that discomfort is not always danger. Say this quietly: clarity before urgency. You do not need to rush. You do need to stop using delay as your only form of protection. Wisdom creates options. Fear repeats excuses. Wisdom gathers facts. Fear creates fog. Wisdom asks for support. Fear isolates you until the old pattern feels like the only possible life. And this leads to the deeper question: why can you recognize all of this, feel the truth of it, and still struggle to convert insight into movement? Why does the mind understand while action remains frozen? The answer is not simply more motivation. It is connected to the condition of the person receiving the message. Before we go there, remember this: familiarity is not peace. Repetition is not destiny. And the first unfamiliar step may be the place where freedom begins. Chosen one, the message may already have arrived. The problem may be the condition of the receiver. You have been asking God to speak louder, but your mind has been pulled in too many directions to hold what you hear. This does not mean your faith is weak. It does not mean God has gone silent. It may mean your attention has become divided by pressure, responsibility, fear, and constant noise. Look at the signs. You read the same page several times. You lose a word in the middle of a sentence. You ask 5 people for advice, but every answer makes you more uncertain. You feel a strong insight, then doubt it before the day is over. The message enters, but it does not remain organized. That is why more information does not always create more movement. Sometimes it creates more fog. You collect another opinion, another prayer, another warning, and another possible future. Chosen one, clarity is not the same as intensity. A thought can feel urgent and still be fear. A direction can feel quiet and still be true. The first task is not to chase the loudest voice. The first task is to notice what remains consistent when your body becomes calm. Use 3 clarity filters. First, ask what keeps returning when you are peaceful. Second, ask what appears only when you feel threatened. Third, ask what small action would give you more facts without forcing a final decision. They protect you from reckless escape. They also protect you from spiritual delay disguised as patience. A clear step does not always answer everything, but it gives the next question somewhere real to stand. Now, I want to place something before you and leave it there for a little while. Years ago, a line of research about how the 2 sides of the brain work together began explaining something many spiritually sensitive people had felt but could not name. It helps explain why a person can receive a true insight, feel it deeply, and still fail to turn it into action. It also helps explain why prolonged stress can make simple decisions feel impossible, even when the facts are already present. Later, in this message, I will return to that discovery and to an 8-minute method developed around the same idea. I will explain what it is not, and why the state of the receiver matters so much. For now, hold one question. What happens when the message is right, but the person receiving it is operating in a divided state? You may discover that you do not need another sign. You may need a clearer place inside yourself where the signs you already received can meet each other. You may need enough stillness to separate conviction from panic, and enough structure to test what you believe. Say this quietly: clarity before urgency. You are not being asked to make your whole future visible tonight. You are being asked to become honest about what is already visible now. The next step must be clear enough to test, small enough to manage, and responsible enough to respect the life around you. Because before you pack anything, you must know what belongs in the next season. You must know what needs to be completed with honor, and you must know what is only trying to escape pain while calling itself freedom. Chosen one, movement becomes safer when you know what belongs in the next season. Not everything must be abandoned. Not everything should be carried. Some things deserve gratitude, some require completion, and some must finally be released. Think of this as a sacred packing list. The first group is what you carry. Carry the lesson, carry the skill, carry the wisdom earned through difficult years. The second group is what you complete. Finish the conversation you have avoided. Review the budget. Gather the documents. Honor the responsibilities that remain real. The third group is what you release. Release the need to be understood by everyone. Release the role of rescuer. Release the shame attached to changing your mind. Release the belief that suffering in the same place proves your loyalty. This is the empty hand principle. You cannot receive a new assignment while gripping every agreement from the old one. A full hand may look faithful, but sometimes it is simply afraid to let go. Consider one person who spent years believing a job change had to happen through one dramatic moment. That person waited for perfect certainty, while frustration grew and confidence weakened. Then, the approach changed. The first move was not resignation, it was preparation. The resume was updated, a trusted advisor was contacted, expenses were reviewed, a small emergency fund was started. Months later, when a real opportunity appeared, the person did not need to create courage from nothing. The structure was already waiting. Now return to the question that has been open since earlier. I told you there was a discovery connected to the way the two sides of the brain work together. I also told you it helps explain why a true insight can enter the mind without becoming action. I waited until this point for a reason. A solution only becomes meaningful when you understand the shape of the problem. You now understand the shape. The problem is not only fear. It is divided attention. It is emotional pressure. It is the conflict between what you know and the role you are still trying to protect. It is the strain of carrying old obligations while asking for new direction. But here is what most messages about obedience never explain. Why can you understand all of this? Write it down, pray about it, then wake up and return to the same state. Why does insight fade before movement begins? The answer is not that you need to force yourself to believe harder. The missing piece is connected to the way the receiver is functioning. Before we explore that, make your own sacred packing list. Write 3 words at the top of a page: carry, complete, release. Under carry, write what still gives life. Under complete, write what deserves responsible closure. Under release, write what survives only because fear keeps defending it. Do not make the list dramatic, make it honest. One true item in each group is more useful than 20 vague promises. Then ask yourself one final question. What am I trying to take into the future that was only designed to help me survive the past? That question prepares the doorway. Because the next truth is simple. Knowing is not the same as moving. And until the receiver becomes clearer, even a true message can remain trapped inside a divided mind. Chosen one, let us place this in the clearest language possible. You are not standing still because you are lazy. You are not standing still because you lack faith. That is the why. You feel attached to what is familiar. You fear disappointing people. You carry too many competing thoughts. You keep waiting for certainty that no responsible decision can provide in advance. That is the what. Movement requires discernment, but it also requires a mind clear enough to sort signals from noise. That is the who. You are not a failure. You are learning to move from survival into conscious action. The clarity you just received is real, but clarity in one moment is not movement. The question is, how to help the receiver remain organized enough to act. Earlier, I asked what happens when the message is right, but the person receiving it is operating in a divided state. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for work connected to the different functions of the brain. His research showed that the two hemispheres process information differently, while effective functioning depends on communication between them. When pressure becomes constant, many people feel scattered, foggy, and unable to connect what they know with what they do. A woman from California described living in that state. She had prayed, journaled, and tried meditation. After using the resource I am about to name, she reported greater focus and more consistency. That was her personal experience. It is not a guaranteed result. A man from Texas described a different problem. After using the same resource, he reported less fog and a stronger ability to organize his thoughts. That was also an individual report, not a promise for every person. A team led by Doctor Daniel Barone in New York developed an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. The process was designed around neural sync technology and support for coordination across the brain. You use headphones, close your eyes, relax, and listen once each day. They call it the Genius Switch. It is not presented as a meditation app. It is not presented as a common brain wave track. The provider describes it as a whole brain synchronization tool using a different mechanism from ordinary audio products. The Genius Switch does not tell you which decision is right. It does not create divine guidance. It does not replace prayer, medical care, therapy, financial advice, or responsible planning. Its role is narrower. It is offered as a tool to support focus and mental organization. This is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who has already done honest inner work, but still feels that fog blocks consistent action. According to the official offer, specialist services can cost far more. The listed price was $49. The current page presents an additional reduction, bringing the price to $39. The offer also includes 4 digital bonuses: a guided visualization, a grocery shopping guide, a classic manifestation book, and a printable guide covering 5 habits. The provider also states that the purchase is protected by a money-back guarantee, subject to the terms shown on the official page. The current price may change. Do not decide from panic. Read the details, review the guarantee, and decide whether the tool fits your needs. Waiting also has a cost. Every week spent inside unmanaged fog can become another week of delayed conversations, postponed planning, and avoided action. The goal is not speed. The goal is restored capacity for responsible movement. One warning matters. Tracks with similar names may appear in common audio libraries or online searches. A similar title does not prove the same method or source. The official page, linked in the description and pinned comment, is the source identified by the provider. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, you can read every detail there before deciding. The link is in the description and pinned comment. The tool does not replace God. It does not obey for you. It does not close the door, make the call, or complete the plan. A tool may support clarity, but responsibility still belongs to you. And now we return to the deeper current. Once the receiver becomes clearer, what will you do with that clarity? Will you collect more ideas, or turn it into one honest movement? Chosen one. Clarity becomes powerful only when it enters movement. You do not need to rebuild your entire life today. You need one action that gives truth a place to stand. For the next 72 hours, do not demand a final answer. Choose one step that gathers facts. Send one email, review one budget, Update one document, ask one honest question, book one conversation with someone qualified to help. This is the 72-hour movement test. It is not a deadline for leaving. It is a container for truth. Fear grows inside vague possibilities, but clarity grows when the next step becomes specific and measurable. Some of you have tried to move before, then returned to the old pattern. That does not prove you are incapable. It may mean you had motivation without structure. This time, movement can look different. Build the bridge before you step onto it. Gather facts. Protect what must be protected. Ask for wise counsel. Let preparation become an act of faith instead of another excuse for delay. If you support a family, movement may require savings, guidance, planning, or a longer timeline. Responsibility does not cancel the calling. It gives the calling a form that can carry real life. If you feel unworthy of a better season, listen carefully. You do not prove your goodness by remaining where your spirit keeps shrinking. You do not honor others by becoming less honest, less alive, and less present. Growth may disappoint people who benefited from your silence. That pain is real. But disappointment is not always evidence that you have done something wrong. Now, imagine one morning, after the decision has become clear, you wake before the argument begins. Your first thought is not another debate about whether you are allowed to change. Your calendar still contains responsibilities. The future still holds questions, but your energy is no longer being spent on defending a place your heart has already released. You open your eyes and know the next step, not the whole road, just the next step. Your breathing is slower, your mind is quieter. The day no longer begins with a courtroom inside your chest. That is what responsible movement can feel like. It is not wild certainty. It is alignment between what you know, what you value, and what you are prepared to do. Choose your step now. Make it small enough to complete. Make it real enough to create information. Make it wise enough that tomorrow you will respect the person who took it. The step may be updating a resume, speaking with a counselor, opening a savings account, researching a neighborhood, or setting one boundary. Do not compare the size of your step with someone else. A quiet act, completed with honesty, can change more than a dramatic promise made in emotion. And for the chosen one who felt something stir when the condition of the mind was mentioned earlier, the resource is still available in the description and pinned comment. Read the details carefully. Consider it calmly. Choose it only if it truly fits your needs. Say this now: my next step can be small and real. Then let the words become action. Before this day ends, identify the step. Before the next 72 hours pass, complete it or schedule it. Clarity is not given only to comfort you. It is given so your life can become honest. But movement outside will not last if the old identity travels with you. You can change the room and still rebuild the same cage. You can leave the place and carry its rules inside your mind. That is the final suitcase we must open. Chosen one. Changing locations does not automatically create freedom. You can enter a new room while obeying the same old rules. You can receive a new opportunity while still acting like the person who was never allowed to take up space. You may leave one job and still prove your worth through exhaustion. You may leave one relationship and choose the same pattern again. This is not because you always choose wrong. It is because a new environment does not automatically create a new identity. The hidden mechanism is the identity suitcase. It holds the rules you learned while surviving. Never disappoint anyone. Never ask for too much. Never rest before everyone else is satisfied. Never let your success become visible. Those rules may have protected you once. Do not hate the person who learned them. That person carried you through, but a protector from the past cannot lead the future. The deepest form of packing is not choosing what enters a bag. It is choosing which beliefs receive permission to cross the threshold. Complete these sentences with honesty. In the old season, I had to. In the new season, I am allowed to. When fear returns, I will. Maybe you had to stay quiet. Now you are allowed to ask questions. Maybe you had to anticipate every mood. Now you are allowed to let other adults manage their own emotions. Maybe you had to earn rest. Now you are allowed to treat rest as wise stewardship. Maybe you hid your gifts. Now you are allowed to use them. Here is the answer to the question opened at the beginning. The one thing you must not pack is the identity that believes you must betray yourself to remain safe, loved, or accepted. That identity will sound reasonable. It will call itself humility, peace, or patience. Test it. Does it produce wise preparation, or return you to silence and delay? Now, sit still for a moment. Let your feet rest firmly beneath you. Release your shoulders. Let your jaw soften. Imagine an open suitcase in front of you. Inside it are old labels: the rescuer, the one who always stays, the one who needs permission, the one who fears disappointing everyone. Look at each label without anger. Those identities tried to protect you. They do not need to be shamed. They need to be released from leadership. Say this quietly: you protected me then. You do not have to lead me now. Imagine closing the suitcase. Do not lift it. Leave it where it is. Place one hand over your heart. Breathe in and say, I receive clarity. Breathe out and say, I release false obligation. Now picture yourself entering the new room. You do not scan every face for approval. You do not reduce your voice before anyone asks you to speak. An opportunity appears. Your first response is not a list of reasons you are unqualified. You pause, consider, and answer from truth. Someone asks for an immediate yes. You no longer surrender your peace to their urgency. You say you need time to think. Your ideas begin returning because your mind is no longer maintaining two lives. Your energy is no longer divided between the person you are becoming and the person others expect you to remain. You have not become someone else. You have returned to the part of you that existed before fear became your manager. Take the lesson, take the wisdom, take the love. Leave the old contract behind. Nothing more needs to be proven. The final movement is not another argument. It is a declaration that the future will not be governed by the rules of the cage. Chosen one, the message is now simple. Not every act of staying is loyalty. Not every feeling of discomfort is danger. Not every delay means God has withheld an answer. You may not know the whole path. You may still need counsel, planning, time, and support. But you can stop pretending that confusion is the only honest response. You have learned to separate escape from movement. You have learned to gather facts without worshipping certainty. You have learned that one small action can become the beginning of a different season. You have also learned that clarity does not remove responsibility. It strengthens responsibility. It helps you see what must be carried, what must be completed, and what must be released. Now let this closing prayer become a place of peace. God, reveal where fear has been speaking with the voice of wisdom. Show me where guilt has been calling itself love, and where familiarity has been calling itself peace. Give me clarity to know the difference between running away, waiting wisely, and moving in obedience. Let my next step be honest, responsible, and free from panic. Protect the people connected to my decisions. Protect my family, my health, my finances, and every conversation that must happen with courage and care. Give me the humility to seek qualified help when I need it. Give me patience when preparation is necessary, and courage when preparation has become another hiding place. Release me from guilt that does not belong to me. Teach me to honor the past without giving it ownership of my future. Help me leave without hatred. Help me move without pride. Help me close doors without denying the love, lessons, and memories that once lived behind them. When fear returns, remind me that fear does not need to disappear before I take one wise step. When uncertainty speaks, remind me that I only need enough light for the movement in front of me. Let my mind become clear. Let my heart become honest. Let my actions become aligned with truth. Chosen one, speak this declaration slowly. I am not abandoning my life. I am releasing what has completed its purpose. I do not need fear to disappear before I take one wise step. I do not confuse suffering with loyalty. I do not confuse familiarity with peace. I carry the lesson. I release the cage. My mind is becoming clear. My heart is becoming honest. My next step can be small, responsible, and real. I will not force the door. I will not keep defending a door that has already closed. I move with wisdom. I move with preparation. I move without hatred. I move without shame. And when the path becomes visible, I will no longer pretend that standing still is faith. Let this be your final comment declaration. I will move with wisdom. Do not use those words to pressure yourself into a reckless decision. Use them to remember that wisdom moves through truth, planning, courage, and responsible action. Chosen one, pack the lesson, pack the wisdom, pack the love, but leave the fear behind. You cannot carry the cage into the place where God is teaching you to live free.